The Saturday Evening Post has an interview session with one of the greatest scientists of all time. The editor of the newspaper is very anxious to interview him because the world knows who that gentleman is, and everybody wants to hear what his take on various subjects is, especially on the matter of knowledge and progress in science. The speaker and the person is none other than Albert Einstein, whom everybody knew. He's more famous than presidents of that time. While interviewing, the editor of the newspaper, Mr. Clark, asks him one straight question. Mr. Einstein, what is the reason for your success? I see many people who are very, very knowledgeable, but they are not as successful and as famous as you are. What is the reason? Mr. Einstein smiles and says, look, I am not a very great believer in the concept of knowledge. I am a great believer in the concept of imagination. Knowledge is very limited. Imagination encircles the universe. What I am today and what I will be tomorrow is not because of knowledge. It is because of my imagination. I imagine things. What actually he meant by this is, I will try to explain in a very simple format. Suppose somebody asks you in the earlier traditional model, what is the distance of sun to earth? Somebody will say 1,300,000, 3,000 something million kilometer. That is knowledge. Actually, nobody is interested in that knowledge. You may have thousands of such knowledge in your brain and you can spell it out in a second. But that is a traditional knowledge nobody is bothered about. But yes, higher than that is the level of a real knowledge which comes closer to imagination. Why is it that the sun distance to earth is exactly the same as it should be? Why is it 3,543 million? Why not it is 5,345 million? That is a higher level of knowledge that we should know. It's a closer to imagination. And before I begin this creativity and innovation, I would like to introduce this concept of imagination. Imagination is bigger than this concept of creativity and innovation, and it has a sequential way in which we can progress to innovation. Unless we don't imagine, we cannot go to creativity. And unless creativity is not reached, we cannot reach the scale of innovation. What we are doing in our education system and our system of progress, that we want to jump. We want to jump from the steam engine space directly to the artificial intelligence stage. That is not possible. It cannot be replicated without missing the stage. A child cannot be an innovator unless he or she has gone through the stage of imagination, then creativity, and then comes the innovation. Let Elon Musk company and Elon Musk not have come to this stage of innovation unless he has gone through the stage of imagination and creativity. Rewind back to 10 years back. In an interview, Elon Musk almost cried when people laughed at him that how can you make rockets and send it to space and dominate Mars. That was probably the stage of his imagination when people laugh at you. Always remember, at the stage of imagination, people laugh at you. They do not believe what you are imagining. They will just say he is not in his right senses or he is not planning well. Then comes the creativity stage when people start taking you some type of seriousness. And ultimately, the innovation stage comes. So my point is that you cannot skip this stage of imagination, come to creativity directly, or skipping both, come directly to innovation. A school or educational system has to produce innovators by this way only, through this stage. Now comes why some societies produce innovators and some societies do not produce innovators. Why some societies had the history of producing great innovators in a series of innovations and innovators, and some societies do not produce innovators. This similar question was asked to a great man and a CEO of a great company while he was being interviewed. A person directly asked him, why is that some societies are not producing the innovators and why some societies are producing the innovators? His answer was very simple, but it baffles many, and it lies the crux of the problem in our educational and job system. He said, a society or an educational system which prima facie or primarily engages in getting a 9 to 5 job, whose entire energy revolves around getting a cushy 9 to 5 job, cannot produce innovators. It doesn't have that wherewithal, that risk taking capacity, that urge to do something new, whether it fails or it success. It cannot. That culture is not there to take risk. So 9 to 5 producing societies, or those who are running after this kind of 9 to 5 oriented culture, will not have much innovators. They can only be having copy and paste. They can only be having people who can just be a cog in the wheel, but they cannot be the innovators. They can be a part, like a building is constructed. He cannot be a designer. He can be a worker. To be a designer, you have to have that imagination. Have to have someone who built the pyramid. He has to be an imaginary man with a lot of creativity and innovation. He cannot be a 9 to 5 person. And yes, those who are 9 to 5, they can be workers, aiding him in building that pyramid. Now comes why and what are the ways in which we can inculcate creativity and innovation among our children. What are the steps? Let me tell you, first I have already disclosed. We have to let the child imagine. Unless you do not allow, the parents do not allow the child to imagine, they cannot reach the stage of creativity. Let him or her imagine things, weird things, laughable, something which is beyond belief. Let them imagine. That kind of education and upbringing and motivation should be given by the parents. That is the first and foremost step. If you do not allow him the culture of saying what he imagines, it's like a dream. Your all dreams are totally weird. You cannot, do you say your dreams every day to your friends or to your parents? No, because they will laugh, because dreams have no sequence. They have random, they are haphazard. It doesn't gel. But there's something essence in that which you can only understand by analyzing. So imaginations are your actual dreams. You have to let your children imagine. The schools have to let their children imagine as weird as possible. Out of those billions of weird things, one Google may come out, one Apple may come out, one Tesla may come out, one Mars concept may come out. Something will happen. One equation may come out that will change the face of the entire world. So first thing is, let your child imagine. Second is that then how imagination will come. Now the next question is that how imagination will come. There are certain ways in which you can start developing the habit of imagination among your children. One is the art of reading. This art is sadly getting lost. We are viewing more, our children are seeing more than reading. What is happening that the ideas what the speaker or the person who is in the video is trying to implant, you are getting it implanted in your head. There is little room for maneuvering, for thinking, or for critical analysis. The deluge of videos that is coming into our mind is replacing our habit of reading. When you read, actually you imagine. When you read about a scenery, say a mountain or a forest, you're not visualizing it. You are just imagining. Your brain tries to imagine as to what the writer is trying to say. And in that visualization, he imagines different kinds of forest. But when you view the forest on YouTube or any electronic media, actually you are not imagining. You are just taking whatever is shown to you. So if you want your children to have that art of imagining, you should make them read books. Take them to the library. Take them to the bookstores. Make them the habit of buying online books. Give them the gift of books. Start the habit of discussing books, book reviews on a small scale or a larger scale. That culture should be there, which was earlier. Then your child will be able to have that first step of visualization and imagination, which will lead to creativity and innovation. Second thing is that the art of sketching. Why in kindergarten or in the infant stage or in the very basic stage, still most of the schools do not allow the knowledge to come in. They allow them to gel with the atmosphere, the nature, the environment, and they sketch. Lots of kindergarten you will have seen, and we have gone through it. They give you drawing, sketches, coloring. and what not related to those blogs. These are actually the way in which you can inculcate the art of imagination among the children. Right from the kindergarten, if you are teaching them math, science, and a specialized subject, the children will never have that imagination concept. You yourself is feeding everything data into the brain of the child. Where is the space left for him or her to imagine? That formating years till the 10 years, he should be allowed to think weird. He should be allowed to think outside the boundaries. But we are setting syllabus for him or her to think only beyond these four walls. You cannot go out. The syllabus, the pedagogy, the kind of books we are supplying, it is restricting the child mind to imagine. So sketch gives that freedom. So in the formative years, coloring, sketching is one of the ways in which imagination and creativity can be unleashed into the children's potential. With these reading and sketch, I request the parents to insist more in the formative years of the children. And if some children is having this habit, kindly support this habit. One problem which we also find that why our society may not produce innovators or we are not producing innovators is that we link everything to commercial object, whether he will gain money out of it, whether he will get job if he has that habit. If somebody is having some habit which is not transferable to money, or he is not going to get a job out of that hobby, we generally discourage those habits. It is not. Every habit, every hobby actually aids you in the bigger picture, bigger avenues. So you have to think like that. Every activity will not give you job and money. That is not the purpose of education. That is not the purpose of our existence. But it adds value to your larger, bigger thinking of life. So inculcate and support the habit of hobbies. This is the third thing. Fourth is that develop the writing habits. If he reads, he writes. Tell him to write this. Tell him to open up blogs. Tell him to write on certain platforms. Tell him to write essays. When we were there in the older system, there are some merits. People used to write essays. Now, where is the question of writing essays? We don't find time. We are only concerned with technology. We're not allowing the mind to imagine and then reproduce it on paper. Saying is very easy. What I am saying, if I'm asked to write that, I will not be able to do justice. So writing is a higher form of imagination and a higher form of creativity. Ask your children to write, whatever, even 2 lines if he has to write, he must write. Otherwise, what is happening? We are only viewing. And with this online education coming on, there is a great threat that we will only be a listener. We will become a captive person to whatever is shown on the screen. Where is the time to think ourselves? The homeworks will be there. The 5 hours of the screen presence is there. The look perfect on the screen to answer questions. The homework, everything is screen based and technology based. So that limited time or the window which a children has, inculcate those habits. Now the fourth thing is questioning attitude. In our culture, we frown upon children if they ask questions. Why you are doing that? They ask the parent, they become, why, how can you ask your elders? No, this system will not produce innovators. Innovators and creative thinker means they will ask things which you will find difficult to answer or embarrassed to answer or uncomfortable to answer. Innovators are like that. They will challenge your old held beliefs. They will not honor whatever has been taught through culture or traditions. It is beyond the prescription of an innovator. You cannot ask a scientist or an innovator to go through the traditional lines of thinking. No, he will disturb you. He will be a disruptive thinker. Until unless an innovator is a disruptive person in ideas, he cannot be innovator. An innovator cannot be a traditional person, 9 to 5 person. He has to be a disruptor. His technology will disrupt. It will not leave any technology live comfortably. Try to understand that. So questioning attitude has to be there in the children. Honor it, encourage it. If they are kind of questioning attitude, why things are like that, why you are saying like this, things are like this, always encourage those questioning habit, even if it is embarrassing. In the reading part, I forgot to mention you how you will develop the reading of your children. The only way I found it successful is to read yourself. When you see your phones every day, the children has learned to see the phone every day. If you watch TV, the children are also watching TV. And I can assure you, children are the great emulators. Whatever you do, they will follow you. You are the leader for them. The father and mother is a role model for the children. So if you want to inculcate the habit of reading among your children, please take to reading yourself. Please visit the bookshop yourself. Please buy online books yourself. Please give the book yourself. Your children will definitely follow. Example is better than precept. Just because you will scowl at him, howl at him, and you will scold him to read, he won't. That innovation will never come. That idea has to come from the parent. You are the role model. You are the leader. So inculcate those habits. Now, next comes the fifth one. Always encourage your children to break things in the house. Breaking things means disrupting things in the house. Earlier, you used to hear complaints from parent that he is opening up electronic box. Now he is not able to repair. He has opened up the phone. He has opened the watch. He has opened the radio earlier. He has to open the electrical boxes. He used to open doing the work of plumbing. He used to do the work of carpentry. Let him do whatever until unless he does not disrupt small things in the house. He cannot be an innovator. You cannot howl at him. Let him disrupt certain things. Let him repair. Even if he does not repair, how does it matter? His intention is to see what is behind that technology. And let me tell you, one of the best professor or one of the well-known professor of artificial intelligence, you know what he did? When he took sojourn from his studies and then Google opened up a special artificial intelligence center in Canada exclusively for him. Google invited him 5 years back and gave him the entire research facility. I am forgetting his name. He did carpentry for the 3-4 years and still his hobby is to do carpenting. Because carpenting is a kind of innovation. Your imagination, your creativity comes into play. But so allow them to be disruptive. Another thing which is very, very important, which I personally believe, is school should start teaching philosophy to children. If we can teach mathematics to them, if we can teach science to them, biology to them, life science to them, history to them, why we are not teaching philosophy to them? Why philosophy should be taught in the graduation? Philosophy is the mother of science. Everything is based on philosophy. Unless you don't understand the philosophy behind certain things, you cannot have your vastness of your mind. Philosophy should be introduced in the school. And if not, let the parents introduce concept of philosophy. It will talk about the purpose of mankind. It will talk about why man existence is there. What is universe? What is metaphysics? What is the relationship of man to nature? What is the relationship of man to rationality? What is rationality? How do you go by logic? What is logic? These all things will be taught to the children from the very basic. Some people say that philosophy is very abstract and very difficult. So is mathematics. A lot of people fear mathematics, but we are teaching mathematics. A lot of people fear chemistry in the school. We are teaching chemistry to them. So there is no excuse except the fact that we don't want to do. Please give a small philosophical concept to your children if you want their imagination to be big. Last, I will tell you, develop the culture of getting ideas from everywhere. Develop the culture of relativism. Nobody is superior, nobody is inferior. No knowledge is superior, no knowledge is inferior. Do not have that hubris that you know everything. This children is studying in a good school, he knows everything. We know everything. No, learn from every culture. Imagine a traveler who has seen the world, whose vision will be bigger. The one who has traveled the world, the one who has seen different cultures, different ideas, who has seen that cultures are contextual, it is relative, no one is bigger, no one is smaller. That level of thinking when it comes, then your child will have a uniform platform where he will feel that the world is an equal place. Nobody has the birthright to be bigger or smaller. He will start from the very beginning as everybody. And with all these aids, he will develop that imagination power. Then creativity will immediately come, I'm telling you. Creativity is a smaller part of imagination. And if a child is creativity oriented, nobody can stop him from becoming an innovator. I'm telling you, I can guarantee you. You see innovator anywhere, Steve Jobs, Elon Musk, or for that matter, any scientist, you will definitely find this three stage. First imagination, then creativity, and then innovation. You cannot jump stages. That's what I wanted to highlight to the parents.